have been training together for what, about 7 months now?
I know, yes.
What
Doesn't seem like it's been that long.
It really doesn't. It's flown by. It is truly a blast working with you, man. And I'm just kind of curious, like, how has the experience been and how has it impacted your life?
Um, it's not been anything like I would have expected before meeting you. And
Sure.
a lot of it is um because of you and the way you approach things.
Awesome.
Um,
I appreciate that, man.
so welcome. I've totally because I've seen other people and talked with former trainers, and they just like you kind of approach with a teacher mentality. And I don't know if you realize that, but you do. Um, so where others, it's just work as usual. So I think that's the big difference in my experience and why I've definitely stuck around.
Awesome, man. That's truly great to hear. And kind of it's actually very like reaffirming to hear that because a lot of my philosophy on like there's a separation between trainers and coaches, right? And a trainer is
Mhm.
just like your body renew guy that stands there and counts your push-ups for you. Whereas a coach like tries to explain the reason why we're doing everything and teaches you the methods and the mechanisms and the reasoning behind everything that we do so that it makes sense and so that you understand what we're doing and so that you can actually learn it and integrate it and continue doing it, essentially for the rest of your life after we're done training. So
Mhm.
I'm glad to hear that. Kind of like I was going through your training log right before we hopped on this call, and I seen when we started, you were 188 pounds. The last weight that we had was 177 pounds. So, I mean, that's a substantial 10-pound drop. And we've also seen, like, I know personally, I've got a trained eye for it. And like when I'm watching you do your sets, I can just visually see that you put on a lot of muscle. You've gotten a lot stronger. How do you feel about the weight you've lost and the muscle you've added and just like the overall results of the training program?
Um, it's always a surprise. Like I messaged you, I was taking my hair down after training and had my arm up, pulling my hair out of the braid, and was like, "Whoa, whose arm's that?" um, uh, and the other message that I originally sent you about walking home from the store with the bag of cat food that normally been like switching arms because I was getting tired out and just in the moment was like, wait a minute, I haven't struggled. What? So it's been constant surprises. Um, and then in definitely in sessions, seeing what I'm able to do versus the previous session.
Awesome. No, that's totally I remember very well the cat food, the journey home. I remember also when you sent me the pictures of the boxes at work of
Yes.
unpacking it and how it kind of reminded you of the medicine ball slams and some of the other shit we do in the gym. So the fact that it's functional and it's making your life better is truly awesome to hear. Not only, because that's what it's really about. I mean, looking better is great. We all like looking better, but when like our
Mhm.
joints stop hurting and our day-to-day activities become easier, that's progress in my mind. That is
Yeah.
phenomenal.
And it is kind of disappointing. I am now in a stage that nothing fits
Yeah.
properly.
Good problems though. Good problem to
Yes.
have. Yeah, when you got to start replacing your wardrobe, that means your fitness program's working.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, I also remember when we first started, and also just kind of for context too, I was looking at that initial training log, and on the first day, on the first one, you did 5 push-ups. I don't know if you remember that. And then we had
Uh-huh.
to adjust and put the bench there. right? And now you've bench pressed 125 pounds for reps. So, you're pretty much, you're ecking up towards, you're definitely well over a one rep body max, a one rep max at body weight. And, you're repping out 125 pounds, whereas, push-ups are only about 75% of your weight. So,
Yeah.
at maybe 90 pounds, you were able to struggle through 5, and now you're, easily repping out 125 pounds on the bench press. So that is awesome progress as well.
It's actually really amazing because that first session, I couldn't lift myself off the floor.
Yep.
And I was like, oh my God, this is embarrassing. And you didn't make me feel embarrassed at all. You like, okay, let's try this. Um, and like that first session didn't feel bad, felt energized and good and excited about what is going to be next. But yeah, seeing the difference between not being able to lift myself up off the floor in a push-up to now bench pressing and uh deadlifting and all these other things that I'm doing is not something I would have ever expected.
It
And
is
it's amazing.
it is truly amazing. And yeah, there's never anything to be embarrassed about. It's always inspiring to me when people take themselves out of their comfort zone and try something new. And we all, I mean, I started at the same spot. You know what I mean? I started
Mhm.
able to do push-ups. There was a time in my life where I could barely do push-ups, and now I bench press substantially over my body weight. So it's all about taking that initial step and continuing to make progress. Did you ever think that you would be deadlifting 145 pounds? I mean, that's amazing.
No, not at all. Especially before October last year. Because I hadn't met anyone that I was like, okay, they're gonna be able to like work with me and I'm not gonna feel like crap every time I'm not able to do something. With you, one of the initial things that definitely impressed me was during our consultation, I kept saying core strength, which I'm sure was like driving you crazy. It's like, it's not that. Um, but you didn't make me feel stupid about not knowing terminology or using the wrong terms to describe and that's when I first saw that educator part of, well, in the field here, we use the term foundational strength.
Yes.
Core strength means something else.
Yeah, no, fitness is weird. It's got its own whole vernacular. So, it's
Mhm.
something you pick up as you go. It's actually funny you said that. I have a client right now who's a power lifter, and his mom reached out to me, and she called it Olympic weightlifting. And it was this thing. I knew what she was talking about because she was describing powerlifting, but and to somebody who's been doing it forever, like, there's a very fundamental difference between Olympic weightlifting and powerlifting. But you're totally right. It's a whole like esoteric, weird new language that you have to learn when you get into it. So you're picking it up. The fact that you know what foundational strength is now is like, that's impressive.
Mhm.
I think that's a small margin of the population that knows that. And you've got it. You've got foundational strength. So that's even more important. So that I don't eat up your whole day here, man. I could go on talking to you forever, but I'm just kind of the last thing, because I have a lot of people that come on and that are on either the backside of an injury, or maybe it's an injury that gets them to the point where they're like, hey, I need to like go see a trainer and start working on building up my body strength because I hurt myself just doing something that shouldn't have hurt myself, and it's only going to get worse from here. So I remember when we first started training, you would wear the back support, and I remember the first few sessions you would have like a little bit of like normal tightness and pain in the back, and it would kind of bother you. and we worked on that core strength, not the foundation. We worked on both, but we built up a little bit of core strength. We built up some of the muscles, and now it's like I see you wear the brace sometimes, but like half the time you'll get into the burpees or whatever, and that thing just gets like ripped off and thrown. And I haven't heard you complain about like any type of back pain or anything along those lines. So would you say that the training has helped kind of alleviate some of just the normal wear and tear, age-based joint pain you were having before you started training? Would you say you notice a difference in from before training and now that you've been training for over half a year?
But I definitely noticed so many differences. Because I had to have the back brace because some of the exercises um were bothering my back. I'd still wear it just for the support, but it's really not needed.
Yep.
And like burpees, it's more of a hindrance.
Yep.
Um, and the difference of because I work in a warehouse, um, being able to move stuff and being able to use proper mechanics and techniques to lift and um huge difference in how I feel at the end of my workday versus prior when I would easily tweak something. Like I 2 years ago, pulling a box towards me, overextended and like tweaked my back. Um Now I don't have any issues. I think the biggest issue is stopping myself and saying, okay, that's beyond my limit.
Yeah, that's an issue we all have. That's truly amazing and awesome to hear, because that's, I mean, I think that's really, like I said, you hear me say it all the time, functional fitness, like
Yes.
fitness makes our life better. And you're right, learning it translates. And that's something that's hard to tell somebody that hasn't, because there's like this misconception about weightlifting that we're all a bunch of meatheads that are like absorbed with our ego and how we look. And it's like, man, deadlifting and squatting, like if you can squat and deadlift properly, like you can reach down and pick up a piece of furniture or a box at work or a bag of dog food or a bag of concrete or anything,
Mhm.
mechanics that aren't going to blow your lower back out. So it's like it translates into every other sphere of our life. And so hearing that it's doing the same for you, truly amazing, man. I love to hear it.
Thank you. It's been such an exciting and enlightening and um, uh, mind-blowing experience working with you because I would have never have done any of the stuff that I'm doing now.
Awesome, man. Thank you very much. I will not take up any more of your time. I appreciate
All
it.
right,
And man, I look forward. I will see you on Monday and we'll get right after it.
Monday,
Awesome. Have a good weekend,
definitely.
John. Thank you
You
again.
too.
All right.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.